Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
From the start, the only thing certain is the end. Promise to all and none, no not when.
I'm not indifferent to people suffering because I know it's hard to be everybody. We blacks, we just got our first big holiday in a long time. Happy belated Juneteenth to the blacks. Juneteenth is a strange holiday, isn't it? It commemorates when black people in Texarkana area of the country first found out they were free. But remember, they were free when they found out. They just didn't know it yet. Very, very interesting holiday. You know, I learned something. This is a wild story. I learned this past Juneteenth of a story that's true, and there was a black man who was in South Carolina during slavery who somehow got granted his freedom by his so-called master. And when his master granted him the freedom, he also gave him a plot of land. Now, it turns out this brother was brilliant. He had a good eye, a good knack for farming, and he farmed this plot of land very successfully and made a lot of money. And this is where the story gets crazy. When he got all that money, this nigga bought some slaves. Have you ever heard this before? This is a true story. Not only was he a slave owner, he became a slave breeder and employed tactics that were so cruel, even white slave owners were like, yo, my man. He was a wild dude, but he did it just because that's what successful people did at the time, and he just wanted to be down. What a fucking tragedy. How can a person that went through slavery perpetrate the same evil on a person that looks just like him? It's mind-blowing. And, shockingly, they're making a movie about him.
No.
Ironically, it's called Space Jews. Space Jews. The point of that story is this person was invested in a construct. That was the construct of successful people, and he just followed the roadmap of successful people. He followed what they call an incentive. Now, everyone struggles, but I'm very invested in the gender construct, personally, because I'm a man with kids and a wife, and I like that warm, wet, soft pussy that my wife has. This does not mean that I feel like another point of view can't exist. I was doing a nightclub in Oakland 16 years ago, and this is the first time that the trans community ever got mad at me that I knew about. And I was nobody. I just quit Chappelle's show. It was like a nothing hole-in-the-wall club, and I was doing some transgender jokes in Oakland. It was 16 years ago. My pronoun game was not as nice as it is today. I went too far. I said things like tranny and shit. I didn't know these words were bad, and a woman stood up and just gave me the business. Started screaming at me, and I'm sure it was a woman, but she kept calling me transphobic and all this shit. I'd never even heard these words before. It's really weird. I didn't trip. I just gave security the look like, you know, get that bitch out of here. I kept it moving. And then she went to the press, and the next day, one of the gay papers wrote all the same things she had said to me about me in the paper. Misquoted the jokes and was calling me transphobic. And again, all these words, I'd never heard them before, but every time that I talk with anybody from that community since, they always repeat the talking points from that article. My least favorite of which being, and I hate this phrase, they say I was punching down on them. Punching down. What the fuck does that mean? Now fast forward, it's 2019. I'm in a restaurant in Ohio, a very nice restaurant. It's Thanksgiving week. And to be honest, it's not a very nice restaurant, but it's a nice restaurant if you're a white person from Ohio that's never been anywhere before. Picture Chili's. I'm sitting in the bar, I'm having a drink by myself, And the only other person in the bar is a woman, a couple stools down, and she was alone, and she was older, and that made me feel sad because it was the holidays. So I told the bartender, send that woman a drink on me. She's trying to spread the cheer, and I wish I didn't. This woman wanted to talk. She wasn't mean, she was nice, but she just wanted to talk about shit that, you know what I mean, the nigga that's trying to get drunk don't want to hear about this bitch remodeling her bathroom, and I'm sitting there trying to be polite. Oh, subway tiles, word. But then she hits a lick, piqued my interest. She says, my daughter is coming home for the holidays. Oh, that's great news. I'm glad you're not gonna be alone. And then she goes on and on about how great her daughter is. I guess her daughter got a new agent, and she's out in Hollywood, she's in movies and on television and all this stuff. And as she's telling me this, I'm thinking, this woman is so sweet. She probably doesn't even know who I am or what I do for a living. Because I know what your daughter's out in Hollywood doing. And then she goes, would you like to see her picture? Oh, now I don't want to see this woman's picture, but what am I gonna do? I go, okay, yeah, sure, I'd love to see the picture. And I grab the picture, and this is all I say. Oh, she's very beautiful. And as she puts the picture away, she looks mean all of a sudden, like she caught me in some kind of trap. What does that face mean? And then she goes, she's transgender.
Oh.
And I think to myself, oh, this bitch does know who I am. No! I really resented that trap because that trap doesn't let me be honest. If I was honest, I wouldn't fall for it. I just looked at the picture like, ooh, look at that big chiseled jawline, that big chiseled jawline. Is that a dude? Is your daughter a man? Can't say that shit. It's really annoying. Fast forward, now it's a couple days later. It's the Wednesday. For the Thursday, that's Thanksgiving, and I'm in a totally different bar. And this bar, trust me, it's not a nice place. It's foul. It's one of those bars where the top shelf should be under the sink. This is where the poor whites drink, the tiki torch whites. You know what I mean? Them white people, they believe in Q and they love Trump. You know what I mean? Like Michigan white people. I remember I was at this bar one time. This is that kind of bar it is. I was in there one time, I was fucked up, and I turned around to everybody in the bar, I go, hey everybody, I'm gonna buy everyone in the bar around the drinks. And all the motherfuckers like, hoorah! And the bartender knew I was drunk, so she pulled me aside. Miss Chappelle, are you sure about that? That's going to be $16.
Wow.
Tough time for the whites. And this was a holiday weekend, you know what I mean? These motherfuckers was having a rootin' tootin' time. They was in there partying, making all them noises. Woo! Ow! Yow! You know all them noises white people make before lynching? They was doing all that shit. I was drunk. I looked over my shoulder. I thought I was tripping. I guess who was in the bar? I thought I was seeing things. I looked across the room, and I saw the trans bitch from the picture. I couldn't believe it. I said, what is a trans person doing in a place like this? This is very dangerous behavior. And she was with two big, buff, gay black dudes. I didn't know these dudes, but I know they was gay. If they had a dick in their mouth, they wouldn't look any gayer than they did just sitting there. They had 1980s gay face. You know what that is? Remember in the 80s when gay people look surprised all the time? Close your mouth, nigga. What's surprising? You know what I mean? But they was huge. They looked like Juicy Smouye's trainers. And I'm thinking, man, these motherfuckers in a line of trouble. So what I do is I stand up And everybody in the bar likes me, so I make a big show of it to make sure that everyone can hear me. I walk right up to her, and I go, hey, I just met your mother the other night, and she told me all the great things you're doing in Hollywood, and I cannot believe that someone from a podunk place like this can achieve all that. I'm so proud of you. Welcome home. And the whole bar said, hoorah. And I said, whoosh. That ought to buy her some time. You know what I mean? A couple more drinks, and these fellas are gonna start asking her for some pussy she might not have.
Oh.
And she was very gracious. She said, thank you so much, and we shook hands, and as she was shaking my hand, her face turned mean, like her mom's. And she said, do you mind not punching down on my people? Oh, I don't like that. Normally I would have let it go, but I was drunk. I said, what might you mean, bitch? I was careful to call her a bitch because I didn't want to blow her cover. Turns out she wasn't hiding. She was loud, she was proud. She let me have it in front of everybody, screaming at me all the talking points from that article. You transphobic, this and that. Kept clapping her hands in my face. Let me tell you something. I said, where you learned this from? Black bitches kept doing, let me tell you something, honey. So annoying. She kept calling transgenders her people. Isn't that weird? My people this, my people that. I said, what do you mean your people? Was y'all kidnapped in Transylvania and brought here as slaves? She said, my people have struggled for decades, honey. Decades. And I looked at them gay black dudes like, is there anything you niggas need to tell this bitch? Clifford.
From the start, the only thing certain is the end. Promise to all and none, no, not